Seen some of those.
So, Steve, tell us a little bit about what we're watching.
So, after I left Athens, I went to Savannah and worked we were a company that bought from the cable company their commercial time, and we did local commercials and handled all the commercial until the cable company realized how much money we were making.
Gotcha.
So it was a small company, but we were really good, and we did a lot of video production outside of that as well. But we'd always hire students from SCAD who were in the video department to work as our assistants and stuff, and they're super creative people.
Sure.
And one of them was Damon Smith, and he had this. Every student in video at SCAD has to have.
Let me pee. You keep telling the story. And don't forget, you got to pull it up on phone.
Why do I pull my phone?
So you can watch it and hear it.
Oh, so every student has to have like a video project, and Damon's was this show about a character named White Rod, and it's basically Shaft, but he's a white guy. Get it, White Rod, Shaft, and he is like a vigilante, and so over the course of his time at SCAD, he had done a number of these episodes, but he had different people that played White Rod because people come and go, but they're all everybody's students, it's all student project, but he had all this stuff, and he had all these unfinished things too. He'd have sets and science fiction sets and macabre stuff and props that never got used in a full episode, and he decided to make this. So basically, this is a documentary about White Rod, but it's a compilation of all his stuff that he's able to make into something that was or wasn't, basically. So I am the documentary host. And the character is named Vance Van Puffelen. And after we put it out there, there's a magazine called Video Threat, and it's a little small subsidiary of Film Threat magazine. It used to be popular during that time. And they did a write-up on White Rod, and they basically panned it because it's a student project, really. They kind of thought it was something other than that, but but they did take notice of the meteorologist that they said was in the film. So I had them actually believing that I was an actual meteorologist. So I don't know. I found that most interesting. So.
I'm trying to picture your fish.
Yeah.
So I'm reading here where cafeteria-style fast food's going to become a thing here.
And the only other thing I wanted to add was we started shooting all my ins and outs because I was basically the cement holding all these segments together. We started it in like the spring, when Savannah in the spring it's wonderful, wonderful. Savannah in the late summer, it's great, but it's oppressive. The heat, humidity is very oppressive. And I had grown a beard that winter, so I had this really nice beard that I had when we started shooting. But for some reason, we just kept shooting and shooting and shooting. It took all into the year to do it. So in the late summer, I'm still like suffering with this fucking beard. So you'll see as it goes along.
All right. We'll pull it up on your ship so you can follow along. That's the best way to follow along.
Where is it?
You mean to resend you the link that you sent me? You go to your sent folder. Because I'll have to put headphones on. Jay, you want some headphones?
No.
Stick in your phone. Follow along.
You got to put headphones on?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the only way to hear it. Otherwise, I can't hear the movie.
Why can't we hear it?
Because then the speakers feed back on the microphone. Then you hear, ba da da da, ba ba da da da, ba 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 beep 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 beep.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Okay. But I'm not going to hear our show, is what you're saying.
No, don't watch the show because that's going to be behind.
Gotcha.
So we'll synchronize.
Oh.
You got buds? You need.
Oh, you want.
Yeah, Aaron, I've ordered live captioning. I got Katie ordered live captioning, and for all the deaf people. It's not a regular show, so this dead time doesn't bother me at all. It's not a big deal. Jay? It's not a big deal. Yeah, Aaron says you need to do it in sign language if you want to repurpose it. So we'll keep the
Should have got Damon on here to talk while we.
yeah.
He's a very
Ding
interesting
dong
fellow.
dong. Whoa, where'd you get that one, Vance? Big fish. Nice. All right, so this is are you queued up?
I'm ready to go.
Okay, so this is Steve in a movie called White Rod, a hero for the 21st century. Now, what year? What year, Steve?
What?
What year?
What year? I don't know.
All right.
94, maybe?
Okay. All right, you ready to hit play?
Yeah.
And 3, 2, 1.
Harbor City, famous both for its historic beauty and for being the backdrop of one of television's most beloved series, the action-adventure drama White Rod. Hi, I'm Vance Van Puffelen, your Channel 32 TV meteorologist, and in the next hour, I'll take you behind the scenes of the hit TV show that single-handedly revived the potted meat industry and made actor Drew Martin into a household name. Together, you and I will take a probing look at the never-completed White Rod movie and examine the heavy toll the title role took on the lives of the 3 actors who dared step into White Rod's shoes. We will witness secondhand the controversy surrounding this groundbreaking vision of what television should be like. Compiled from hours of interviews with cast and crew and never-before-seen
It looks like
footage,
a Just for Beard,
this program will
but
provide
no
you
just-
answers
no
to the
Just for
questions
Beard,
most
yeah,
commonly
at that
asked
point.
by the show's many die-hard fans. So sit back, relax, and prepare yourself for the
Turn
story
City.
of White Rod, a hero for the 21st century.
It should be a vinyl
The series
soundtrack.
embodies man's struggle to dominate the universe. White Rod can be seen as the strong, fearless white hunter who must tame the wilderness that
Is there any
surrounds
male
him.
nudity in this? Aaron wants to know.
His purpose is to conquer nature, to bend the world to his will, to tame the concrete jungle.
That guy digs 90s Tood voiceovers. 100%. Hey, welcome back, DuckTales!
White Rod. All right, I'll take care of it.
GMRN type music? Yep, for sure. Vance said he needs a sandwich. Now, how did you guys get a hold of this van?
Damn Van.
White Rod is just entertainment.
What's she doing now?
That's what television does best.
I don't
You know,
know.
you turn
who
on the
most of these
TV,
people
you
are.
turn
Like I
off
said,
your
they're all
light.
SCAD students.
Pornographers, prepare to meet White Rod's wrath.
That's
Pornographer!
Damon. That's Damon right there, the guy with the glasses up.
Huh? He likes some 90s too.
White Rod is every woman's fantasy guy.
Aaron says
There's that bar you were talking about.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Knight in
Aaron
shining
says, Jesus,
armor
5
that's
wipes in a row.
come to rescue us all from the ordinary, boring men of the world.
Here's my half cigarette. We may have played it years ago. Years ago.
White Rod is a real man's man.
Now
Kind of
that
man they
guy
just
is one of the
don't
most
make
creative people
anymore.
I've ever met.
I bet.
He is. Isn't that Gam? Did I ever play Gam for you?
Nice. Is that a bullwhip? Get the dog barking in the back.
White Rod is the ultimate action hero. He's also extremely intelligent. He's the thinking man's ass kicker.
Thinking man's ass kicker. I love it.
What is your take on the White Rod character? I mean, who is he to you?
Thrust.
Well, I see him as a symbol of good in a world gone bad. Basically, all of White Rod stories are about good versus evil, and all of his
That
enemies
guy's not
are
good.
evil minions and pawns of Satan.
Gee, Joe, it's a really nice day out. Sure is, Bob.
Baby killers, prepare to meet White Rod's wrath.
Baby killers.
White Rod. Well, White Rod is a sensitive guy. He's very concerned about what's right and what's wrong. He's concerned about the security of our
Francis
families, security
Weisbecker, he's
from
in the VC,
terrorists, baby killers, half man, half moth, half machine creatures.
I still follow
he kills
him on
because he
Facebook.
cares.
You tell me that guy doesn't have an awesome prod collection and
He's
does
in
VC
he's in
videos.
LA right now.
A little bit of the old soft shoe.
White Rod is the perfect American citizen, the last true patriot. He's fighting to restore our country's honor and glory to the way it used to be before rampant liberalism destroyed it.
Man, once we plant all these trees, we can stop the greenhouse effect and save the world.
No fucking doubt, boss.
Bleeding heart liberals, prepare to meet White Rod's wrath.
Does he still smoke cigarettes?
They sound like the same sound like that.
Yeah. Got a cigarette counter in the corner for this movie? Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea. Never take it out, bro.
The television series White Rod began its 4-year run as a mid-season replacement with little fanfare and only so-so ratings. But the audience that did tune in was immediately addicted to the all-too-rare combination of intelligent writing and non-stop action that became the show's trademarks.
It's almost perfectly synced right now.
That's the way to do it.
Why didn't your original pilot for White Rod get picked up by the network?
Well, it's a funny story. It was just way over the heads of the network execs. I mean, the death of White Rod was what it was called. They really couldn't grasp why the main character died in the very first episode of it, and they really didn't like the way he was dressed either.
Those spray painted '90s backdrops, dude.
But after the network saw it, they just thought it was too intelligent, too cerebral, too brainy. And the thinking at the time was that smart people didn't watch
This
television.
guy fucks.
General, I think we have a problem here. Get me the phone.
White Rod.
I'm afraid we have a little problem here. The containment field in our top secret research facility has failed. A black hole has been released into the heart of
Just
the
drop it
Coastal
every time he
Empire.
talks.
All right, I'll take care of it.
He's being sucked into the space-time vortex.
I understand there was some resistance to the original costume that
with
White
his
Rod
jacket?
wore.
Yeah,
The jacket seems
thought it was
oddly out of
too
place.
Futuristic. They wanted us to change it. Nakamichi Subaru was our costumer at the time, and she got real upset by that. So I fired her.
The character of White Rod was based on the real-life retired Cold War super spy and
The
tobacco
fuck?
billionaire Rod White. A chance meeting with Alexander Madowski led to the
Rod
creation of
White.
the series, on which Mr. White served as executive producer.
Next day, I was at a bar drinking, and I heard this old man talking about killing Nazis, and I went over, and it was him, Rod White. And
R-Dub.
So I bought him some bourbon, and he started telling me stories, and I introduced him to a good friend of mine, Francis Weisenbecker.
And Rod White was a childhood hero of his, and he met him up at a bar one night and passed himself off as a producer somehow. I had never even heard of the guy until Alexandra introduced me to him. But the more I got to know him, the more he became my childhood idol, too.
Cast in the role of Rod White's on-screen
Oh,
alter
man.
ego was a young actor named Drew Martin. Martin, who is best known for his role as Sven in the critically acclaimed Swedish drama My Dinner with Jorgen, quickly gained an international following as
Dinner
the
with
series was
Jorgen.
translated into 9 different languages and syndicated worldwide.
Hombre, después te vendemos las cadáveres. Sermos rico.
That's Jack's voice.
Really?
Yep.
Ladrones de tumbas reciben furia del cetro blanco.
Drew was such a hunk of a man. He always insisted on doing his own stunts, and
You know if she's on Insta or
I
anything?
would cry and beg him not to do his stunts, but he insisted, and he'd go out there and do them anyway.
She got arrested at the
It was such a turn.
Capitol riot.
The stress of shooting a weekly series took its toll.
Look at that
on
look.
Martin,
That's a
however.
good look right there.
20-hour-a-day shoots month after month proved to be more than the actor could take. Finally, after an accident left him partially crippled, he'd left the hustle and bustle of television production behind and retired
Don't
to
I
Kenosha,
know it.
Wisconsin, where he pursues his love of pottery.
This is private property. We just want to ask you a couple questions. I'm going to call the police if you don't get off my property.
Fans all over the country were terribly upset when they found that Drew Martin was leaving the show. Is it true that you and him didn't see eye to eye?
It's not true at all. I mean, Drew and I mean, tight. I mean, mano y mano. It's actually Drew left the show because he'd been in that White Rod character for so long that he had taken it about as far as he could go.
Well, we had a fight that morning, a big fight. It was the day he was crippled on the set. And I guess he wasn't concentrating on what he was doing, and I should probably feel a little responsible.
When Drew's contract came up for renewal, he said he was quitting the series, which was really a painful moment for me. I knew he wasn't happy with some of the scripts, but, you know, hell, neither was I. And, you know, I had written some of them.
Man, once we steal all this sod, we'll be rich as shit.
Germans.
No fucking doubt, boss.
We'll do a whole bit out of it.
I would say
Sod
Sheets would
thieves,
be my only, or Walmart.
prepare
but they're
to meet
probably
White
close
Rod's
anyway.
wrath.
Sheets, man.
Drew did not leave the show because of the injury. Drew
Mm-hmm.
left because we broke up.
Face off the highway.
And after the injury, he was left crippled, and he just wasn't the man he used to be. And I needed a whole man, and I had to leave him.
You want to know why I quit? I'll tell you why I quit.
Oh,
Those bastards, cheap bastards,
yeah, that one thing I'm talking
wanted me to take a pay cut. Imagine that, me taking a pay cut, start of the show. They said stuntmen were expensive and that now that I was crippled, I'd have
How long
to have
did
a
it take
stuntman.
him to make this?
They weren't willing to pay for
I
it.
don't know.
Stuntmen are dime a dozen. They would have hired a stuntman in the second place. I wouldn't be crippled in the first place.
I guess the documentary didn't take long.
Whatever the reasons for Drew Martin's departure, the effects were obvious. With the original White Rod leading the show, the future of the series
this is
was
like
uncertain.
previous
The
footage.
choice of the right
A lot
actor
of
for
it.
the next
Yeah,
White Rod
like I
would
said,
be
it's all these
crucial for the
segments
show's
they did.
continuing success. It was clearly the end of an era, and the entire
And see, the
world held
segments
its
would run
breath
on
to
no
see what could
TV.
possibly
Mike
come
Kinzel's
next.
project was no TV.
Uh-huh.
After an
And
exhaustive
he
talent
was
show,
able to take all these projects from other students and make the show.
producers of
Gotcha.
White Rod
And
have finally settled on
Damon's
Rock Connery,
segment, White Rod, was
star
like
of
the
Adventures in
flagship
the Monkey
segment
Zone,
of the
in the new
30-minute
White
program.
Our first choice was Rock Connery, who starred in The Adventures in the Monkey Zone. And but after a week on the set, it was clear that he just wasn't going to work out. So we went with our second choice, who was David Love.
Just 2 days
Is that Tracy
after
Gold?
Rock Connery reportedly stormed off the set of the hit action series White Rod, the producers today announced that Rock is out and David Love is in. This surprise move caused many people to ask, just who is this David Love guy anyway? Brian?
David is best known to the general
That's
public for
Damon.
his work on the German
Huh.
stage, where he starred in several Shakespearean musicals. Die-hard Drew Martin fans, however, might remember him better from his role in My Dinner with Jorgen, in which he played Pedro, the blind deaf-mute brother of Martin's sarcastic character Sven.
In this clip from the Daffy Von Tramp show, David talks about
Nice.
his relationship with the retired Mr. Martin.
Nice.
So, David, did you know Drew Martin very
Walking
well?
stand-up.
Yeah, why, yes. We
The old
hung out
walking
for,
stand.
Then walk
together
out of
for a few
frame.
hours that one
This
day.
old house style.
Just in that short period of time.
I'll meet you in the
I could see
bathroom.
he was really a cool guy. You know, he
Follow
really
me.
dug
I'm
me.
a leader.
He knew where
I'm
I
a
was
leader.
coming from, and I could really groove on him.
Steve
David
had
had
one of
his
those
work
tight
done.
90s
Jorts.
beards.
Look at
Oh
the
my
fucking
God.
jorts.
Fanny pack?
I'm
Got a
talking
fanny
about
pack on.
how fanatical the show's admirers were about Drew Martin.
Wow.
I think Drew Martin is White Rod. I don't think he needs replacing.
That's the frame we
That's-
need.
you
The
need
original
that
White
frame.
Rod. I don't think there's any other way but him, really.
Mempho said you had one of those tight 90s beards.
Dinner
Oh, it
with
was a tech
Jorgen,
beard all day
and I thought
long.
he was pretty good in that.
Precisely.
I don't know if he's
just
really right to play White Rod, but I'll watch the
Sizzled
show
right in
and I'll
there.
give him a chance.
Not
By
chiseled.
mid-season, it was
Sizzled.
clear that the production team had made the right
I
choice.
know what I said.
While budget cutbacks forced David to wear the original costume from the initial White Rod pilot, no one could deny the emotional depth and sense of gritty realism that he brought to the role.
Oh, that's awesome. Right back up and at him.
I've been trying from the moment I walked onto this set to bring this fourth dimension to a somewhat three-dimensional or at times a 3.5-dimensional character. I think I've finally reached the point where the producers and I have complete trust in each other. And it's now that we can bring new sides to this character that we've never seen before.
Lots of cigarettes in this movie.
White Rod?
I'm gonna start answering the phone that way.
That's terrible!
White Rod.
Oh, Christ. Oh my God. Yeah, thanks, bye. God damn them!
But still smoking. That shirt is
There are
fire.
rumors of bad blood between you and David.
Not true at all. Not true at all. I know it's been hotly contested, but David and I were like brothers in the biblical sense.
No, I think he was a great actor. He was my favorite White Rod, as a matter of fact. But his ego was astounding. He demanded to be wheeled around the set in a wheelchair because he was too big of a star to walk.
Oh, well, David's ego just got humongous.
That's my favorite.
And after a while, he made us hire somebody to push him around in a wheelchair. But, like I said, he was never as bad as Drew.
It was just as White Rod was getting the critical attention that it deserved. Network executives canceled the series, citing the production team's inability to meet a deadline
Snap,
as the reason.
zoom, and fanny pack.
Was never really behind.
That was a bad decision right there.
So what if they had to show a
Back to
repeat
this
episode
jacket,
every other
though.
week? You know, the fans would watch it over and over again.
I can tell you, it's seasonal. There are a lot of
And, you know,
seasons in
being
this
canceled
filming.
was
That
a
jacket
great relief, though, 'cause we were
insists
finally
upon
free to do a
itself.
movie.
It is there in that hotel behind me that the creative minds
Talk
behind
about
the popular
90s
television
too.
series White Rod held a landmark press conference in early 1991 to announce their plans to bring White Rod to the silver screen.
Wearing Ray-Ban cats.
I'd like to thank you all for coming to the press
You
conference
still have
on
that shirt,
such short
Harrelson?
notice. I've got a couple of announcements to
I don't
make,
think so.
and I'll take questions.
I think if he did, you would have already seen it on the show.
We regret
Let's
to
be
announce
honest.
that the network has decided not to renew our television series White Rod for the 91-92 season. However, we are proud to announce, with the help of our French invest friends, that the cameras will soon be rolling again, this time on the White Rod movie. It will star David Love, of course, as White Rod. Directing the film will be my longtime associate, Mr. Francis Weisenbecker. Co-starring in the film will be Mr. Weisenbecker's new wife, Gina Lola Venus, as Secret Agent 23. And I'm proud to
Lola
announce
Venus.
that the
Oh,
Supreme has signed a contract with
Whoa! Thank you for the sub,
White
my
Rod's
man.
father. Well, that's my
It's a sub on
announcements. Are
YouTube,
there
that
any
notification.
questions? Yes.
Yes, I have a question for Mr. Truffaut. What is it about White Rod that made you interested in backing a movie version?
He doesn't speak English, and his translator is sick with a stomach virus. But let me just say that White Rod is extremely popular.
Now, this guy's overweight. What's his deal?
Yes.
How is this movie going to be different from the show?
Oh, actually, the really biggest difference is
You should reach out
the
and
size of White Rod.
spark up a
If you
friendship
notice
based on the
your
fact
TV
you're both in
screen,
this movie.
White Rod was only a few inches tall, depending on how big your TV screen is. In White Rod the movie, he will be over 30 feet tall. We're really excited about it. Yeah, it's going to be very exciting. Look out for that.
Yes.
Was the network's decision to cancel your show influenced by the report on Hardline that claimed that your costume department stole clothing and jewelry from the dead to use as props in the series?
Let me say that that was just extremely exaggerated, and nobody was ever caught digging up any graves. Yes.
There are allegations that many of your props and your costumes were obtained by robbing graves at local cemeteries.
Yeah, allegations. That's all they are. They're merely allegations. You can't substantiate any of those things. That's completely irresponsible. That almost never happened. Who's the alligator? Who's the alligator?
That almost never happened.
H.B. Stewart Smythe in the Garden City area. Now,
Who's
she
the
told police
alligator?
she was watching the show and saw a young woman wearing a brooch that had been specifically
Who's the
designed for
alligator?
her great-grandmother by an artist in New York. Now, the last time this brooch was seen was just before her great-grandmother's burial at her funeral.
All right, look. That happened once. That happened once, and that was it. And once I found out about it, the prop guy, he was fired. Boom, I fired
prop
him.
guy.
Go time, buddy.
Yeah.
That's it. You're out.
You fired him.
That's what I did.
But,
Next
what about-
question.
what about
Next question.
the crew member? I assume you fired.
Next question.
You don't believe that it was fair that they fired you?
That guy's wearing Steve's shirt around his neck. His scarf.
Weren't you fired over this scandal?
Scarf.
No, he used to call me Scarf.
That was Joe, my assistant.
Oh, has SB?
Had to do with some bad pastry.
Don't you think it
Church
was
of the
wrong to
Subgenius.
take things from the dead?
Bob.
Those people
On
were
his shirt.
dead. They didn't need that stuff anymore. We had a very small budget. I was simply doing my part for the environment, recycling, being green.
Well, what about the family? Did you return any of these items? Did you give them any restitution, an apology? Did you do anything at all for these people?
Yes.
The portrayal of women in your series as nothing more than barely dressed, empty-headed creatures of sexual desire has drawn a lot of fire from feminist groups. How do you intend to change this characterization of women?
She misspoke.
I'm really glad you brought that up because all of our research indicates that scantily clad women are more titillating than completely nude women. So in this film, our entire female cast will be completely nude, so as to degrade them as little as possible. We really don't want to exploit anybody more than we really need to.
In this rare television interview, Drew Martin's successor, David Love, responded to charges from feminist Elizabeth Schenker, who claimed that the show's portrayal of women as brainless sex objects was somehow wrong.
The television series White Rod is sexist, overly violent, and degrading in its portrayal of women. This man, this so-called David Love, is a criminal.
I gotta find something to eat.
He rapes women with his words and his ideas. His kind is responsible for the state of this sorry excuse of a world that we are forced to live in. Women of the world, hear me. We must free ourselves from the chains of these wretched bastard pig oppressors and create a new and better world order.
I'm glad you brought this up. I'm a 90s sort of guy, sensitivity and all that stuff. And it pains me to see these bleeding heart liberals changing the meaning of white rod to suit their own petty wants and desires. I love women very much, and I would never do anything that degraded them in any way whatsoever. There's a lot of subtlety and a lot of depth in our scripts, and it pisses me off that it's wasted on this moronic minority. I mean, if you're that stupid, you shouldn't be allowed to watch television.
Unfortunately, this is America, where anyone has the right to watch television, no matter how low their intelligence. The sad state of this country's educational system has created a nation of morons whose only chance to crawl out of their self-induced poverty is to sue somebody else for their own feeble-minded mistakes. A valiant attempt to bring joy to thousands of young minds created a legal quagmire that is still being sorted out in the judicial system today. It centers around this innocent toy.
Essentially, all we were trying to do was make a bunch of sad little children happy. I mean, these kids all wanted a replica of White Rod's weapon, and by golly, if they wanted the shaft, I was going to give it to them.
Did you get it?
I got it. I got it. I got it. White Rod's mighty shaft.
Hey kids, now you too can play with White Rod's mighty shaft.
It's fun. It's cool. It's totally safe.
And it's only $19.98. Be the first on your block to get White Rod's mighty shaft, and soon you'll be saying,
Boredom, prepare to meet White Rod's wrath.
At finer toy stores everywhere. Batteries not included.
We went to a company that manufactured foam rubber toys, and you know, I can't mention any names, but let's just say it rhymes with Nerf, and they wanted $10 a toy, which was just outrageous. So we looked around and found a Russian company that produced nerve gas during the Cold War years, and you know, they were looking to refit for a peacetime civilian economy.
There were several injuries, including one death supposedly linked to the mighty shaft toy. And the government recalled over 200,000 of these, and with that and the costs of the lawyers, this toy wound up costing you in excess of $60 million. What went wrong?
Well, what happened were the Russians used a beet byproduct to manufacture this foam. And I don't know much about beets, but apparently it's a very dense vegetable. It's a root, I'm told. And what happened is when this got wet, it became very, very dense. In fact, it became harder than steel, which I don't have to tell you is harder than the average child's skull.
Yeah, that's 100%.
In the instructions, it said that it should not
are the most
be exposed
instantly
to
recognizable.
any kind of moisture. And it was a mix-up. And the instructions were printed in Yiddish. And can I help it if the schools no longer teach Yiddish?
Kids get killed every day from like cars, aspirin, stuff like that. People aren't calling for the recall of these items, are they? No. The reason is because we produced a patriotic show, and we are patriots. And apparently it's not fashionable to be a patriot in this country anymore. And that's why they singled us out. We're scapegoats. That's all there is to it. Keep that away from Lauren, please.
does the government-mandated recall of 12 million White Rod toys affect your future licensing plans?
Well, let me just say that, you know, any product that goes out with the White Rod name, we want to be safe. And speaking of which, I'd like to introduce my friend right now, Mr. Bob Dobson from Robot Pizza. Bob.
We're happy to announce that Robot
Just give me
Pizza,
immediate
the world's
heartburn.
#1 automated pizza delivery chain, in conjunction with the Canned Pork Council, will be featuring a promotional movie tie-in. When anyone orders a canned pork topping pizza, for only 49 cents extra, they will receive this White Rod collector's cup and a free pellet gun. In addition, we will also be holding a sweepstakes in where one lucky couple will get to meet Drew Martin, the other White Rod. This is particularly appropriate, since we all know that pork is the other white meat.
Oh.
Okay, well, I guess that pretty much wraps up the press conference. We hope you enjoy the movie when it comes out in a few months. And before you leave, please try some of the pork products. Thank you.
Pork.
Despite cancellation of the series, this was a triumphant moment for the cast and crew of White Rod. Freed at last from binding restrictions of television,
Are
they
you
were now
eating with
able to
Arlo
express
Lassen?
their true vision, uncensored, without network.
That
meddling.
guy's a friend of mine from
At last, it
Athens.
seemed most of the
and
public
a
would
great
receive
chess
all
player.
of the
Like
White
he
Rod
alone
that some of them
beat the
deserved.
entire other schools, like a whole
Well, we
squad.
wanted to start over, to go back to the beginning and show the adventure that started it all for White Rod. The show had been on for 4 seasons, yet we never showed how White Rod became White Rod, or who he was before he became White Rod, or how he became to be the world's greatest action hero super spy cop.
It has been suggested that a lot of the movie's troubles began with the script.
Well, we actually started shooting before the script or the storyboards were done, so I don't think that was a problem. I think the problem was Gina Lola Venus.
A scant 3 months after being married, Gina
Look how
Lola
hard
Venus
that light
and
is.
Francis Weisenbecker were divorced.
Francis wasn't
Okay.
really the same man that I married all those weeks before. And I really wasn't the same woman either. Sometimes people just grow apart.
When Gina and Francis got divorced, her role was drastically cut from almost as much screen time as David to, well, almost a cameo appearance. Now, I thought this was all for the better. I couldn't understand why she was in the story to begin with. There was no point for her there.
Hot.
But David had to put his 2 cents in.
Too hot or too
and he
too
got
much
his way.
flavor.
David had a
great.
clause in his contract that gave him full script approval, and it was a good thing because the script was a mess, and the writers were morons.
Remember when you did the Dinamita straw?
And David was
Yeah.
a genius, and
These are hotter though.
he basically rewrote the
Yeah.
whole thing.
And
David
in a
thought
weird
the
kind
story
of hot.
needed more depth.
Stingy,
And I can't
citrus
say I blame
hot,
him.
which
I mean,
is
he was right. I mean, we had action,
off-putting.
we had adventure, 2,000 extras, The Burning of Atlanta, and Marlon Bronson. But you know, the movie didn't really have that, you know, that human touch. It didn't have that
Bronson.
spatial quality that draws people into to a picture. So I met with David and Mr. White, and we came up with an exciting story element that was going to give us the deepness that we wanted. We would shoot the movie in 3D.
Despite the fact that the production had been underway for nearly 2 months using ordinary traditional film
My
cameras,
wife is
a
right
decision
there in
was
the back
made to
corner.
release the movie in 3D.
She wasn't my wife at the
Normally,
time.
this would mean reshooting everything with special double-lens cameras. However, a small special effects company, Virtual Smoke and Mirrors, allegedly made an exciting breakthrough in 3D post-production technology. A lot of people said that the decision to use the 3D
you never
depth
in
enhancement
college?
process was an
Or
expensive
just or after
mistake.
college?
Do you agree?
Oh, this is after college.
Well, it certainly was expensive, and I guess it was a mistake because I guess apparently there wasn't that much of demand for 3D movies out there at the time. But I want everybody to know, the Solido 3D video enhancement process does work. Although it might not legally be 3D, it is certainly more than 2D. It's kind of like a 2.5D.
A defective 3D process wasn't the only problem facing the White Rod team.
Is the White Rod movie causing an international incident? Citizens of Upper Moravia are suing tobacco billionaire turned movie producer Rod White, claiming that he stole their 1,200-year-old castle.
Moravia, that's here.
Mr. White reportedly bribed
Over
officials
in
with
Winston.
cartons of cigarettes to look
Moravia?
the other way as his
Moravians?
employees, posing as tourists, smuggled the castle out of the country, brick by brick, in handbags, purses, and carry-on luggage. It was later reassembled a couple of miles outside of Harbor City, where it is now the location for the White Rod movie.
Well, it seems that lately not a day goes by without more and more news of controversy on the White Rod motion picture set.
Here's the latest development.
Ben Folds.
The film's investors have reportedly
Ben
sent
Folds?
a representative to oversee the production.
He does look like him.
After credible reports surfaced, the producer Alex Modowski had squandered over $10 million of their money scouting locations near Reno, Nevada.
And then an unfortunate incident occurred. David Love was tragically killed in an accident on the set, decapitated while rehearsing a key love scene with Miss Lola Venus. Production came to a halt.
We were rehearsing this love scene, and his head.
But I bet she got
horrible.
pepperoni nipples.
1 minute we were rehearsing, and the next, I told Francis that the love scene was too dangerous and that we needed stunt doubles, and he insisted that we do it ourselves. And Francis was right. We would have cheated our audience. And so David and I agreed to do it, and he died for his audience.
Do it.
That could have been me. That almost was me. They took no safety precautions at all, and now I'm permanently disabled. But I'm glad he's dead. David Love did not know how to play the role of White Rod. And I heard he wasn't even white.
I was out scouting locations, I think out in Reno, possibly. And when
I feel like
heard
this
news,
guy
I
makes a
flew back.
big deal out of his Taco Bell order.
The
All right,
most
look, now hang
tragic
on. Here's what I want.
was
Let's
just
check
that
it out. Check it
afternoon.
out. 3 bean burritos, but look, I don't want any of that red shit on there.
So beautiful.
2 soft tacos.
I was to become Mrs.
Add
David
sour
Love.
cream. No, I don't want the Supremes.
So in my heart, I am Mrs. David Love.
Well, it was a tragedy, and we were all very, very sad. How are we going to finish our film? David died before shooting a lot of crucial scenes.
What kind of sweater is this guy
There was
wearing
absolutely
underneath
no way
the
to
shirt?
shoot around it. I didn't want to replace him, but hell, the guy was dead.
I was simply devastated. Alexander was a big help. He needed me, and I needed someone.
I need pepperoni.
We helped each other through it. Of course, his wife eventually found out and ended up leaving him.
Well, there was a time in the morning, but
We were
on
the
a
guy
tight
with the
schedule.
bandana has one serious soul patch. We were talking
had to get back with
on
another
Friday's
audience.
show, Mefo, about growing out soul patches
Francis
super
wanted
long.
to start over from scratch. Would you shut the fuck up?
While the nation mourns the loss of David Love, life must go on. Today,
Looks
the
like
creators
David
of the
Byrne
upcoming
there.
White Rod movie unveiled David's
Yeah.
replacement, the man who will be the next White Rod.
After several hours of rampant speculation among the media concerning the future of the troubled White Rod movie, the producers announced earlier this afternoon that they have found a replacement for the late Mr. Love and that production would resume around 3 p.m.
32 News.
Well, it's now 7:15 p.m. and the cameras are ready to roll. Jake Thrust, the highly regarded film extra, has been chosen to be the third actor to step into
Highly
the shoes
regarded
of White
film
Rod.
extra. That's
Little
correct.
is known about Jake Thrust, despite a film career that spans back well over a decade. We sat down today with one of his co-stars to find out just what this newest White Rod is like.
Jake is White Rod himself. David Love, God rest his soul, was a vegetarian.
He was also the
Not like
general
Jake,
in
who's
the
a real
earlier
red
scene,
blooded Oh, really?
dropping the
meat
cigars out of
man.
his mouth.
Oh, yeah.
That's
So
Keith
into
Cozell.
the role that
Okay, see?
He may not be with us anymore. He had some kidney problems.
Oh.
Why did you decide
That's not
on
what I
Jake
thought you were gonna
Thrust
say,
as
but-
David's replacement?
Well,
No.
if you close one eye and squint and get the sun behind him, he kind of looks
That's-
like David.
Well, I actually worked with Jake in my pre-White Rod days, and I'd put him on the show a couple times. And I'd cast him in a minor role as a demon in a dream sequence for White Rod the movie. And after we finished with that sequence, I noticed that he would fit into David's clothes quite nicely. And he did. Not just physically, but, spiritually. I think he was really born to play this role. And, we couldn't afford any alterations or anything, so he got the job.
After 16 years of being a stand-in, body double, or mute extra, it is now Jake Thrust's big chance to prove to the entire world that he can handle a speaking role. With Jake cast as White Rod, production has resumed at Dortmund Roderhof Castle. Channel 32 was there to bring you this exclusive first look at America's newest action hero.
So what is it like to be the third actor to portray White Rod?
Well, it's great. You know, I get to wear these wonderful clothes. I get all the
Yeah, it
pork
was-
and malt liquor
yeah.
I can possibly eat or drink. And the women, you just can't
Had to
imagine
relive a
the
little
things those
off-color
have on women.
memory. I couldn't have the mic turned on for it. That's
With the death of
you got to
David
keep
a
your
week
left
behind
arm.
them and
You're
nearly
wearing
forgotten,
McGregor's.
things began to look up for the troubled production.
Steve, you're wearing McGregor's.
6 days of
Yeah.
shooting were in the can, and a new
But
script
you really
got
to keep your left arm straight.
However, the cast and crew
driving
began to
through the
notice
ball like
something
that.
very strange about Jake.
Well, first I thought he was just a method actor, and you know, he really got into his character. And then
He was
when he
like
killed
Jacket
Miss
again.
Mason, I realized
Hey, everybody,
that
look
he
at me.
really believed that he was.
Says the jacket,
White
not
Rod.
you. Says the jacket.
Ellen Mason, an actress who had just celebrated her
Being
74th
outside.
birthday,
Who'd have
was rushed
thought?
to the hospital after receiving
You might wanna
cardiac
grab
arrest
that
on the
frame
set,
as well.
allegedly
Need that
brought on by
clip.
trauma resulting from being kicked in the chest repeatedly by thrust. She died 2 days later.
He really gets into his roles, and I guess he just got a little too into his role that day. You know, it could happen to anybody.
The little
He's
jig-a-jog
important
at the
already,
end
but
is
he's
what
gonna
got
pass
it.
it anyway.
Police have closed down the investigation into the death of
This might have been my
74-year-old
greatest
local
role
actress
ever.
Ellen Mason. Mason, who had been allegedly
Maybe
injured
my
on the
only
set
role.
of the upcoming White Rod movie, actually died of natural causes, according to lead investigators.
The police ruled her death as an accident, which
I
is
thought it was
just
Bruce
totally
McCullough for a
ridiculous.
second.
I think that Weisenbecker, he paid off. He
These
paid
are
off the
the
cops
Daves
to
I
close that
know, I know.
investigation a little
These are the
early,
Daves I
just like he
know.
did when David Love was accidentally killed. I've talked to sources who claim that Weisenbecker and that quack psychiatrist, Dr. Erlenmeyer, actually used brainwashing techniques.
Me and Ryan
on
used to
Thrust.
sing that around
I
Dave.
use the latest scientific
David
methods to help
Hatman,
my patients
he's our
heal
friend from
themselves
Sanford, and, like,
lead richer, fuller lives.
Just point at him and make up
Those who
words.
call it brainwashing are obviously suffering from acute paranoia stemming from lack of parental affection during their formative years. I could help them heal their inner child if they would just come in and try the treatments out for themselves.
There were claims that you used brainwashing techniques on Jake and the other actors to prepare
buddy.
them for their roles.
I've never made anybody
Walter
do
Potts.
anything that they didn't want to do already anyway, whether they knew it or not.
Despite these unfounded rumors and allegations, the cast and crew pushed on to finish the project they'd poured their blood, sweat, and tears into for so long.
Is that a Wilson golf bag?
Until disaster struck.
Got some sweat coming
Well,
off
Jake
my
was caught
navel.
shoplifting.
Do you see that? There's
I
like
got
a
phone
sweat
call
patch
that
down
Jake
there.
has been
Navalsweat.com.
He walked in to
I
a
wonder if
store,
that's been bought.
Naval
put on a bunch
sweat.
of women's underwear, and tried to walk out. That's when I knew that he needed
You
help.
look up a camera, buddy. You're on
There
the
was
internet,
nothing
buddy.
unusual for Jake to
I don't want to be on the internet.
wear
I don't
brassiere,
wanna be
garter
on the
hose,
internet. I'm a
whatever,
whistleblower.
under his clothes.
I don't want to be on the internet.
It didn't make him any less of a man, believe me. I don't see what the big deal was. I really don't.
Yeah. Well, look, that was just all a big misunderstanding. I mean, Jake just forgot to pay. I mean, he was picking up something for his girlfriend. I've done it a million times myself. I explained it to the shopkeeper, and he dropped the charges right after that.
Determined to set the story straight, Thrust agreed to be interviewed on Hardline.
Is America's manliest action hero really a lingerie-wearing pansy? Can the macho heartthrob of millions of women really just be a flaming
That
queer boy?
Tucker from
We'll
Fox
find out
News?
tonight on Hardline.
Except for the double earrings.
A mall security camera captures the new White Rod with his pants down. And he's wearing women's underwear. The shocking interview with Jake Thrust, shoplifting transvestite actor.
Is the manliest man in America
I wouldn't
really
fly
not so manly
nowadays.
when it comes down to his underwear?
That was Mike Kinzel's
Our
voice, the guy
guest,
from No TV.
Jake Thrust, star of the upcoming movie White Rod. Jake, thanks for joining us.
No problem, Derek. I'm glad to be here.
The following video was recorded in a dressing booth inside the Coastal Empire Mall early one August morning.
As long as I can smoke during this whole thing, we're fine.
Well, that's some pretty interesting video there, Mr. Thrust. What do you
Yeah, Mr.
What do you want to
Thrust.
explain about your actions inside that dressing booth? What were you doing?
Well, actually, I was buying some underwear for my girlfriend, Gina Levinus. While I was in the dressing booth, I realized I had no cash. So I decided to walk across the mall and get some money out of the machine. And
That's when the mall security nabbed you, with the underwear.
That's right.
Isn't it true that your alleged lover doesn't even wear underwear?
Well, that's why I was buying it for her. She didn't have any.
Isn't it true that the underwear was really for you? Isn't it true that you're really just a closet transvestite, that you've been wearing women's underwear every day of your life?
No, I haven't worn it every day.
Your mother, she really wanted a little girl, didn't she?
You media elite scum.
Look at that
Keep
shirt.
my mom
though.
out of this.
I want that shirt so bad.
Keep my mom out of
A couple of cacti with some arrows pointing some different directions.
That anti-American muckraker Morrison has had it in for me and White Rod since day one. I mean, he goaded Jake into beating him up on national television. He did it live, too, which was unfortunate because we had lots of witnesses and really bad press.
Tabloid infotainer Derek Morrison today accused feature film director Francis Weisenbecker of providing a variety of both prescription medications and illegal drugs to newcomer Jake Thrust on the set of the White Rod motion picture.
It's a well-known fact that Weisenbecker was supplying Jake with amphetamines and cocaine during the long days of shooting, just to keep him going. I mean, it's no wonder that given his background and how hopped up on drugs he was, he attacked me.
Thrust, who allegedly broke Morrison's neck during a live television broadcast last night, has been released on bail and is currently undergoing psychiatric treatment.
I treated Thrust with a variety of medications because he had a variety of disorders. Depression, insomnia, obsessive-compulsive behavior, narcolepsy, attention deficit disorder, mania, nervousness, agoraphobia, the list goes on and on. He had 17 different disorders,
Pink
and so I
Floyd
treated
behind
him with
this.
17
It's good,
different
actually.
medications.
You're gonna hear stuff about that on every movie set. I mean, he had some coffee. I think he had some coffee, maybe a little too much coffee. But I mean, how are any of us supposed to know anything like that? I mean, sure, 2020 hindsight. Oh, Jake maybe had a little too much coffee. Maybe a little too much coffee. Maybe we should have stopped or whatever. But I mean, how are you supposed to know? I mean, Jake is naturally energetic. That's why I wanted him for this role.
I had warned Jake not to drink any coffee with these medications, but he chose to ignore my warnings. I can't control everything my patients do outside my office. It simply isn't possible.
I figured if the police who beat up Rodney King could be found innocent in the face of videotaped evidence, so could Jake.
Topical.
If we could get good enough lawyers. But, the money was really tight, so we really couldn't afford good lawyers. So we decided to hold a party to raise money for Jake's court costs.
I was there because nobody else at the station would go. Usually when one of these movie benefits are thrown, all the reporters fight for the chance to go and rub shoulders with the rich and famous. There was nobody rich or famous there. I ended up interviewing the electrician for the movie, and then the hairdresser, Candy Sweetwater.
You could tell. I mean, he came on the set the next day like nothing happened.
That's when there was a call from Rod White. I guess he was watching the fundraiser
Rod
on
White.
TV at home, and he just decided enough was enough.
Mr. White called me and told me he was pulling out of the picture. Apparently he didn't like the idea of a closet transvestite portraying him on screen. Who could blame him, huh?
I was there when we got the call, and he was upset with everything that was going on. He was threatening to sue us.
Who's shooting a flashlight on him for some reason?
That was the last time I spoke to Rod.
An awful lot about a person by their hair. I mean, look at yours. Hey, wait a minute.
What are you talking about? Mr. White pulled all the funding. He's pulled all the funding. We don't have any money at all. In fact, we're very much in debt. Okay?
He was treating Jake like he was a small child or a crazy person, which he definitely was.
We don't have the money to finish the project, okay? It's just hang time, baby. It's hang time. Look, Dad, that could be White Rod. Yeah, you are White Rod. You are White Rod, okay? At least you were White Rod for a very short time. That's better than not being White Rod. You said it was White Rod and you lied. Yeah, no, you are White Rod.
I don't know if Jake really thought he was White Rod,
What'd y'all shoot
or if
this
he
on?
just really wanted to be White Rod. Either way, he was nuts.
Rod, you will always be White Rod to me,
3/4.
okay? Am I right? Is he White Rod? Yeah!
It certainly put a damper
Maybe
on
on
the
those
party.
Panasonic
Jake was really
P2
affected by
cameras.
it. He's a very sensitive guy, and
I think that's what SCAD had at the
berserker.
time.
Took us all hostage. It was a really ugly and unfortunate situation. And my heart goes out to all those families of the people who died.
We're getting word now that Jake Thrust, closet transvestite slash
the real cops
shoplifter
actually
slash
came out
hostage taker
because
wishes
we were
to
shooting
make a
this scene.
statement. We're
You're not
going
supposed to
live
have those
to our
lights
camera
on.
inside the building where
Emergency
the
lights
hostages
on.
actually
We didn't have a permit to do that. I think you have to have a permit to do that.
Is it on? Is the camera on? Can the people on TV land see me? TV can see you, man. Shut up! Shut up, you filthy man.
Outdoor pornography?
People of America, hear me. There's an international group of elite atheist Masons trying to take over the world and put
Outdoor
forth their
pornography?
Satan worship. And they're using corporate America to take it over.
I was out in the parking lot when, he killed all those people.
Transvestite actor Jake Thrust continues to rant about a nationwide conspiracy to cover up something that he calls the Prometheus Project. Apparently, Jake Thrust believes that he is White Rod, and that, actually, we have picture again. We're going to go back live to our camera inside.
The media elite are engaged in a campaign of misinformation and deception. The police are just the tools of the United Nations. They're coming for you too. They're coming for all of us. All of us.
Blood packs? I love how the super updates immediately.
Successful conclusion to the so-called White Rod hostage crisis. Brought to you live by
revised
TV32 and
this.
the good folks at Robot Pizza.
3 partygoers were killed and 5 more injured when the police stormed the building. Despite being shot 9 times, Thrust survived.
Well, it seems that Jake's mother really wanted a daughter, not a son. And she raised Jake accordingly, dressing him up in girls' clothes until the age of 12. We can't really blame Jake for what he did. Under those circumstances, even you or I would go insane.
Production was stopped. The cast and crew eventually found other
How
work,
sweaty I
despite
am.
being
Yeah.
labeled as outcasts, troublemakers, or at best, incompetent morons. For the past 3 years, the film has been commercially unavailable, languishing away in a vault, while Rod White's lawyers settle the many
That's not a
lawsuits
real
brought against the
putt-putt, though.
series and
But
its
they had the orange
creators.
bumpers. What's
When
up with that?
production folded.
I think it was
lost
putt-putt.
everything.
I know, with the
My
elephant?
wife left me, took our kids, went under the federal
Putt-putts have
witness
elephants?
protection program and changed their name. So now I can't go back to the States because I'm wanted for chinchilla smuggling.
Huh?
I had a lot of debts when the movie folded. And my wife got mad at me
Introspective
when
of
one of
me.
the chinchillas bit little Alex, and that's when she turned state's evidence against me. I was more worried about money than I was
I'm telling
my
you, this
family.
guy makes a big deal out of his Taco Bell
I was
order.
more worried about White Rod than I
100%.
was my own life. I'd love to
No,
do
it says
another
beef
White Rod
burritos. What
movie,
kind of beef are we talking?
but
And how big
of course
are
we'd
they?
have to shoot it down here in
I want a
Mexico.
couple of them, but I don't know whether to get
Would
2
you
or
be
to
willing
get
to
3.
finish the White Rod movie or direct a new
You get an
White Rod
80-20.
movie?
You do
Well,
93.
that's going to depend if there's a lot of moolah involved. I mean, it needs an adequate budget. It really hurts everybody if there's not enough money. The actors, the audience, especially the audience.
The adventures of White Rod could continue and gain in new heights of popularity, or it could remain nothing more than a minor
USA.
historical curiosity. The choice is up to you. Regardless, all of our lives have been
Irregardless.
enriched by these inspiring tales of patriotic heroism, and we are all better citizens for having spent the time watching them. I'm Vance Van Puffelen, your Channel 32 TV meteorologist. May God bless America and each and every one of you.
Oh.
Woo! The march off.
Oh, I got a tear in my eye.
Gotta show the credits. In film school, if we got up and left before the credits, they would dock us like a letter grade. See if anybody famous pops up. There was an Aaron Lones. Do you know him? That's close to Jones. Lones? Or Lones.
Apple Digital Music Play, the same library. It is the same library.
Oh, the one that we use? Are you serious? Yeah. It really is the same Grown Man Record Night library for music. Holy shit.
It's a different volume.
But Apple Music, that's where that comes from? No way. That's bonkers. That's bonkers.
Woo!
That's butt bonkers. Hell yeah. I don't have to wear these anymore. All right, folks. Well, it's been fun doing a little Sunday night stream. Played some records, talked a little records, shelved some records, watched a little movie action.
But it is a Sunday.
It is a Sunday. I got to get up and shoot a commercial tomorrow in the morning. I've already switched to water. That's probably only the second time you guys have probably ever seen me switch to water. Actually, I'm out of beer, so that's what stopped me. But that's also why I make sure I don't have like, oh, there's a fresh 12-pack on a Sunday in there. Like, I've got 5-6 beers left. Put them down, eat some supper, go to bed, get ready for the week ahead. But anyway, appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Chilling tough on a Sunday night. We got a new content dropping Wednesday. Got some stuff from Steve. It's going to be coming out on Wednesday on the YouTube channel. We'll do a stream Wednesday night where we'll play some games. And obviously the record nightage coming next Friday. Like the video, subscribe, follow if you're enjoying what you see. We'll catch you next time. Appreciate everybody spending a little Sunday evening time with us. And we'll catch you next time on an all-new Grown Man Record Night.
I got to pee so bad.
Peace. I actually don't have to pee. I stopped drinking, though.
You peed in the middle of the show.
I peed in the middle of the show. What he said.
Right in the middle of it.
Later, guys.